This video is going to be going over lesson 8.4. So yesterday we worked on writing an algebraic expression. So if you'll remember, an algebraic expression needs an operation, it can have numbers, and it also has a variable, and expressions are just the problem part. It's not the answer, so no equal sign. So today we're going to take those algebraic expressions and we're going to evaluate them. When we are evaluating, we are finding the value of it. So we're just solving them. So we still have to use order of operations as we are doing these problems. So there is no Spark Your Learning today. So when you are ready to do task 1, make sure you have a paper and a pencil so that you can do these problems with me. So let's go ahead and start task 1 here. So task 1 says that we can find the value of an expression with a variable by substituting a known value for the variable. So when you're buying rugs, they'll oftentimes come in different widths. And so if it's 6 feet long, you can buy one that is 6 feet long by 2 feet wide, by 3 feet wide, by 5 feet wide. So this W can change depending on what size of rug you want. So if we were finding the area of this rug, we would be doing 6 times W, and we do not want to write it XW. That is going to make it look like we have 2 variables here. So remember that coefficient when we're multiplying is just 6 groups of W. Length times width will tell us our area. So it is going to give us our measurements now. So it is telling us that the area of a rug can be represented by 6W, which we already know. And we want to find the area when W equals 4. So we're going to substitute or plug in 4 where the W is. Now, one thing we want to watch when we're multiplying is we don't just want to write 64. Remember, this is 6 groups of W. So now we need to add back in that operation sign and do 6 times W or 4. So watch when you're multiplying. So when you are just doing a variable, you don't need that sign. But when you have numbers, it's not 64, it's 6 times 4. Will tell you that answer. So we are going to try a few other practice problems before I have you finish task 1 here. So we have 24 groups of G, 24 times G when G equals 1/6. So we want to take our coefficient and we're going to multiply by 1/6. So if you remember, we can cross simplify here. So 6 goes into 6 one time, and 6 goes into 24 4 times. So now 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. So go ahead and see if you can finish that problem. So that problem ends up being 4. When I have 1/6 of 24, the answer is 4. So let's try another one here. So we have x minus 9. X equals 14.7. So go ahead and write down the problem. So we have 14.7, and I know I need to subtract, so I'm just going to go ahead and stack my numbers right here instead of writing it horizontally. I'm going to put them up and down since I know I need to borrow here. Now the 9 is in the ones place, so I need to put it under the 4 because this is like 9.0 here. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can finish that problem. So 7 minus 0 is 7. Bring my decimal down. I cannot do 4 minus 9, so I need to borrow. 14 minus 9 is 5. So this answer would equal, when I evaluate it, 5.7. So go ahead and try task 1. Find what the variable equals and plug it in. then solve. And then come back when you are ready to do task 2. So task 2 tells us that sometimes in our expression, we can have more than one variable. So if we were finding the surface area of this pool, it has a width and it has a length. And we know pools can come in lots of different sizes. So these W's and L's can be a lot of different things. So we're actually trying to find the perimeter. So the perimeter goes all the way around the outside. W plus L plus W plus L. So we're finding the perimeter of this rectangular swimming pool. And instead of doing W plus L plus W plus L, we can actually write that out as a formula of 2 L's, 2 groups of L, since we have 2, plus 2 groups of W. L is the length, W is the width. We need 2 of each of them. If you only do 1 of each, you'll only have 2 sides to your pool and the water's not going to stay in your pool very well. So we're going to find the perimeter when L equals 7.5 meters and W equals 4.5 meters. So we're going to plug it into our equation here. So we have 2 groups of L is 7.5. So there's lots of different ways we can write this here. So I chose to put parentheses around my variable L. You can also just do 2 times 7.5. So lots of ways to write the same thing. We can put that X, but again, remember that gets confusing when we have variables mixed in there. So we try to not use those. So now we need to add 2 groups of W. W was 4.5. So when the number, the coefficient is right in front of the variable, that means we're making groups of those multiplying. So now we can do 2 times 7.5, 2 times 4.5. Since we're following our order of operations, we have to do our groups or exponents, and then we have to multiply. Then we can add these 2 answers. Together will tell us the perimeter of our pool. So go ahead and do this problem and complete task 2. Then come back when you are ready to do task 3. So here we are just going to be practicing taking the values, plugging them in, but we're going to have some harder types of problems here. So we have 5x squared minus 8y. So we can see x equals 3. So I can see I have 5 times 3 squared minus 8 groups of y. Y equals 4. So we need to put in that time sign, times 4. Don't just make it 84, make it 8 times 4. So we need to follow our order of operation gems still. So we don't have any groups or parentheses. So now we've done that. We do have an exponent though. So I actually like to write this out and check off the things that I've done to make sure I'm following that order. So we do have an exponent here. So we need to do this here. So this is not 3 times 2. Remember, this is 3 times 3. So go ahead and on your paper, do 3 times 3, and then bring all the other parts of that down. So 3 times 3 is 9. So we still have to times by 5 minus 8 times 4. So we do not have any more exponents. So now we're looking for multiply and dividing left to right, just like we read. So we come to the first one here is 5 times 9. So go ahead and do that. Bring everything else down. So 5 times 9 is 45. We bring minus 8 times 4. So we're still looking for multiply and divide. So there's nothing there. Oh, here's one. Let's go ahead and do that part. Bring everything else down. 8 times 4 is 32. Then we're going to bring down the minus and the 45. So our last thing to do is 45 minus 32. 5 minus 2 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. So this value, when we evaluate, is 13. So we're just trying to take this and funnel it down. I really like to underline, this is the part that I'm doing. This is what I have to do next, and following this order. Let's try another one here. So we have 8b plus w divided by 4. B equals 7 and W equals 16. So go ahead and plug in 7 and W and see what our new expression looks like. So our new expression should look like 8, and then we need to times by B is 7. Then we're adding on W is 16 divided by 4. Hey, so we need to follow our gems here. We don't have any groups. We don't have any exponents, so we are looking for multiply and the opposite, divide, going across left to right. So looking here, we have 8 times 7, so go ahead and do that and bring everything else down. So 8 times 7 is 56, 5, 6, 7, 8. 56 is 7 times 8 plus 16 divided by 4. So we need to keep looking for multiplication and division. So there's an add. Oh, here's a divide sign. So 16 divided by 4. So we are doing this part here. So go ahead and do that. Bring everything else down. So 16 divided by 4 is 4 plus 56. 56 plus 4 is 60. So when we evaluate this expression, the value is 60. Okay, we're going to try one more before I have you try the ones on task 3 today. So we have 9c cubed h. So 9 times c cubed times h. C equals 2 and h equals 0.3, 3/10. So see if you can plug in 2 and 0.3 where they go, and let's see what our new expression looks like. So we have 9, and we're going to multiply by c, which is 2, and c is cubed. And then we're going to times that by h, which is 0.3, 3/10. So it's not 9 2 cubed 0.3. It's 9 times 2 cubed times 3/10. We have to put those time signs in there when we're replacing the variable with the exponent, or with the number that it tells us. So we need to follow our gems here. So every time you do a problem, write this down and go through it. So we don't have any groups, no parentheses. We do have an exponent here. It's helpful to write down, what does this mean? This is not 2 times 3. So see if you can write down what 2 to the third looks like. We have 2 3 times. See if you can write that down. So this means 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So this becomes 8, and we bring everything else down. So now we are done with our exponents. So now we're looking for multiply and divide. So our first one we come to is 9 times 8. 9 times 8 is 72, and we're going to times that by 0.3. So our last problem we're doing is 72 times 0.3. So 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 7 is 21 with 1 decimal place. So this value is 21.6. So please follow your gems. Plug in the values, write down gems, and follow each step. So go ahead and complete task 3, and then come back when you are ready to do task 4. Task 4 tells us that the expression 1.8C plus 32 gives the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit for a given temperature C in degrees Celsius. So when you're given a temperature in Celsius, here in the United States, we don't measure things in Celsius. So sometimes that when they tell me, oh, it's this many degrees Celsius, that doesn't really mean anything to me. I'm not very familiar with Celsius. But we can use this formula to convert it into Fahrenheit so it can make more sense to us here. So here we have our expression 1.8 Celsius plus 32. So whatever the temperature is in Celsius, we multiply that by 1.8 and then add 32. So here it tells us our temperature is 30 degrees. So we're going to substitute in 30. So go ahead and rewrite that problem. Remember, this is 1.8 times C. So we have 1.8 times 30 plus 32. We still have to follow GEMS. So there's no groups, no exponents. We are looking for multiply or divide, whichever comes first. So I can see here, we need to do 1.8 times 30 first, and then we'll add on 32. So I will let you finish that and then go ahead and complete task 4. Then you'll do your check for understanding. And if you have any other questions on this assignment, please let me know and we can set up a time to meet together.